because we are a young person's charity. Well, and young people, you have to put a cut-off. And we decided that for enterprise, it was 30. We have other programs where the cut-off is 24. So you've got to put a cut-off point somewhere. And we decided, when I say we, the people back in the national office, going right back to when it was set up, decided that 30 was the cut-off. Over 30, then you're not really considered young anymore. I'd like to think at the age of 60 I was considered young, but I'm young at heart, but that doesn't count, unfortunately. So we are limited because we're a young people's charity, and that's where we're working with these young people. There are some eligibility criteria. They have to be unemployed or working fewer than 16 hours. They have to have a business idea, and that business idea can't bring Prince's Trust into disrepute. So no modelling agencies, nothing to do with weapons, no debt collection, and there are lots of others, but we look at every business on a case-by-case basis and make that decision when we see them. So we've got a 4-day course to start off with, and during that 4 days we look at the young person's skills. How are they at working with other people? What's their reliability like? How are they at managing money? How are they at managing their feelings? Do they have the skills for the sector? You want to be a hairdresser? Do you have, probably a bad choice with me, but do you have the skills to do hairdressing? Although I don't have a lot on top, I want to make sure whoever I went to have my hair cut, they've got the skills to cut hair. If you want to open a cafe, do you have the skills to be able to cook? Or can you bring in those skills? We then talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages of being self-employed. Self-employment is not for everybody, and we want to give the young people enough information, either from the course that we run or by them going to some of the websites that we point them to come up and make that decision. Yes, self-employment is for me. We talked about how they were with managing money. We talk about money and their managing it and what's essential and non-essential spending. Because if their business isn't going quite as well as they're hoping it does, they need to find some way of reducing their expenditure to put more money into the business. And you can't reduce the essential spendings. You can't reduce on the rent and the rates. You can't reduce on the food. You can reduce on things like takeaways, going out clubbing and that sort of thing. And we have always have a good discussion around, what is essential and non-essential. And every group is different. And there's always the cigarettes as well. That's always something which prompts a lot of discussion. It's not essential, but I'm addicted, therefore I've got to. So it's great. It's a great discussion to have. And all we're doing is getting to think about it. And the reason why we're talking about money is that the Prince's Trust has the opportunity of a young person getting a loan of up to £7,500. Not everybody gets £7,500. On average, it's around about £2,000 to £3,000, but it's a good rate of interest. It's only 1.6 APR, so it's pretty good. We also need to have a credit score, which when we look at the score that we're looking for, is probably a lot lower than the banks. So they're more likely to get a loan with us. There are other enterprise agencies that have the opportunity of giving loans, and they go up to 20 grand. Lots of the young people that we deal with don't want to get a £20,000 loan because they've got to pay it back. We can keep their repayments down. Some people don't want a loan at all. Some people want to have just a mentor who will work with them when they're trading rather, to be able to offer them advice. This has happened, what do I do? And so that's where our mentoring goes. And our mentors are free, by the way. So I said it's a 4-day course. So the last bit on the first day is we get somebody who's been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt. Somebody who's been through enterprise, and they come along, they're trading, they want to give something back to the Prince's Trust, they come along and they tell their story, and the young people can find out from the horse's mouth, so to speak, what's involved. The second day is all about marketing and selling, and you can appreciate that trying to squeeze marketing and selling into a morning for marketing and an afternoon for selling, we're only going to just scratch the surface of what's involved. But again, we point them in the right direction so that they can go off and find out more information. We've got them to think about their customers. Where are my customers based? I'm a landscape gardener. No, not me personally, but we have a young person who's a landscape gardener. Where's your customer? Anywhere in the UK. And I say, okay. So I live in Inverness. Am I going to be one of your customers? Oh no, I can't afford to travel up there unless you're going to pay my travelling expenses. And so we get them to think realistically where their customers are. There will be some businesses which are internet-based, and that's true the whole of the UK, and maybe even the world is their customers can come from. But we get the young people to think about where their customers are. How far are the customers going to travel to get the services that they provide, or how far are they going to travel to provide the services? The third day is money. We talk about national insurance. Why do we pay it? What's it used for? Why do we have to pay it? We also then talk about tax as well. Why do we pay that? There are some people who just want to avoid tax, and we persuade them not. If you're earning the money, then you should be paying your taxes. So we get them thinking about that. We get them thinking about how much are they going to charge for their services. If they're doing painting and decorating business, how much are they going to charge to decorate this room? I haven't got a clue, but we'll get them to think about it. If they're providing, selling something, they will have bought it in the first place. Or if they're making something, they'll have bought the raw materials. So how much is that going to cost them? How much time will it take them to make something? So we get them thinking about that. So at the end, they can come up with a price for a job. And we've got a number of exercises that we get them involved in so that they can think about it and stimulate them to deciding what they're going to charge. And then we talk about record keeping and staying on with tax. What records do I have to keep? How long do I have to keep them? When do I pay my tax? I'm told that I don't have to pay tax in the first year. Is that true? In theory, it is, because you start paying, you get a letter saying you need to do a tax return in the April after you've started, and you then don't have to pay your tax until the 31st of January. So yes, you haven't paid tax, but you're still liable for that tax that on whatever you earned in there. So we try and dissuade some of the myths that we've got that they've built up. What can I claim? What are my allowances? We talk about all sorts of things. So they get a good understanding as to what's involved. And we talk about cash flows. Obviously, the money coming in and the money going out on a case-by-case, month-by-month basis. Again, some young people haven't really thought about this. Trying to come up with how much money goes out, that's easy. Insurance, fuel, rent, phone, stationery, it's relatively straightforward. But how much money am I going to get coming in? We've already got them thinking about how much they're going to charge. We've then got to get them thinking about how many customers am I going to get. And getting to that point of the number of customers, we get them to go off and do some market research. Getting them to talk to people and figure out, yeah, I've got this idea, and talking to various people, I've got a potential for X number of customers in a month. And with that information, they've got an idea as to how much they're coming in. Would you like to see that? They have an idea as to how much is coming in, which is good. We then talk on the final day about business plans. Where do you go to get a business plan? Some people come to the Prince's Trust and they've had a business plan already sitting in their back pocket because they've been thinking about their idea for a long time. Some people come to us They haven't got an idea because their business has only just dawned on, I want to do this. And I've only thought about it a couple of months ago and I haven't had the chance to do anything about it. And it doesn't matter where they are in that cycle, we will work to develop that business plan. I talked about a mentor, and we have a number of different types of mentors, but the main one is when they start trading, we can offer them a free mentor to give them help and advice when running their business. They're not going to run their business for them, but they will be there to give advice. And if the mentor doesn't know, there's a whole gang of people back in the office, and certainly scattered throughout the whole of the UK, who can provide them with an answer. That's the end of the 4-day course. We let them go away for the weekend and we bring them back to something called the next steps. And we talk to them. Do you still want to be self-employed? Have you thought about when you want to start? Have you done your business plan? Have you even thought about the business plan? And have you thought about how much money you might want to start your business? And depending on the answers to those, we might have to do some realignment of expectations. So if they haven't got a business plan and they want to start next week, then we've got to say, look, you need to do some more planning, you need to do that, and maybe we can work with them to get them to a launch in a couple of months. Launch is where they have an opportunity of talking about their business idea to a couple of volunteers and the manager of the enterprise, and they'll talk about their business. Why do they want to be self-employed? Where did they get the idea from? How have they decided how many customers they're going to get? How have they decided how much they're going to charge? And we'll talk about that. And at the end of that, if the volunteers believe that they should be supported, and we wouldn't send them to the launch group unless we felt that they would have a very good chance of success, then at that point the loan is open to them and the mentor. The loan will depend on how much they put forward in their cash flow. So if their business only needs £700, we're not going to give them £700. So we're going to consider what they put in their cash flow. And if their cash flow justifies £7,000 because they detail exactly what they need and they know why they need it, then we'll consider the £7,000. The other thing to say is we have something called a test marketing grant, and it's a grant and doesn't need to be paid back, but it's only $250, but it gives them an opportunity of going out and testing the market to decide, yes, I've got this great idea. Is there anybody out there who thinks it's a great idea and will buy from me? In some cases, that exercise proves that there's nobody out there for them. So we'll get them to think about their business idea. Do they want to readjust it? Some people, it just reinforces what they already felt. But they've done the exercise and they've got the evidence, which is always useful. It's back down and making sure they've got that plan. How long does it take? Well, say it's a 4-day course, and then from the end of that course until they launch, on average it's 3, maybe 4 months, but we've got until 12 months to work with them to help them through. The other thing I should tell you is that any job centre, JCPs, yeah, no? Okay. The new enterprise allowance, which is an allowance, hence the name, from job centre, they can work with us and they can claim the new enterprise allowance as well. And that helps the young people starting off. They've got reduced expenditure in the beginning and it helps their cash flow. Hopefully by the end of their first year they're starting to make a profit and away they go. Princess Trust has a number of other programs, but I'm not going to tell you about them, but I will leave some information on the table later on. While you may not be within our age range, you may have friends, children, relatives. I attended the Federation of Small Businesses last week, and again, the audience weren't in our target age range, but the number of questions that came up afterwards, my son or my daughter I want them to motivate them. And so, yes, I'll talk about this, and hopefully there'll be somebody who can benefit from it. Any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. Oh, yes, sir.
Sorry, I had to ask.
That's okay.
A question. What are your success rates for candidates? Because I'm getting a picture here that you work with a lot of youths who come from different backgrounds, you know, trying to assert themselves, you know, position themselves maybe, you know, they have a vision, but that vision to get to that stage may take time. So what's that?
It can take a while. Last year we worked with 360 young people across Wales.
Oh, Wales. Okay.
And I've got people who run enterprise programs along the North Wales coast. I've got somebody who does it Llanelli way. I've got somebody who looks after Newport and the Rhondda and Taff, and somebody who looks after Newport. So 360 last year. We're aiming for 400 this year. I've still got a couple of months to go yet, and I'm hopeful that we will meet it. And of those, 20% of them will start up a business, and 20% of them will start up a business either with help from the Prince's Trust or on their own because they found funding elsewhere. In terms of the success rate, 84% of the people that come through the Prince's Trust for enterprise will either set up in business with us, set up in business on their own, they will get themselves a job, they will get into education or training, or into volunteering. So 84% are a success, positive, what we call positive outcomes. And of the businesses that we set up, something like 80% are still trading after 3 years, which is a lot more than some of the other statistics that you can come across. And it's really down to two things in my mind. One is that planning and working to develop their planning, their business plan. And two is the mental support once they start trading. And those two things help the young people succeed.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.